Okay, right, here's a little review of some welding helmets. Through some impulse purchasing, twist of fate, and the quest for a decent auto-darkening helmet, I ended up with 4. So I thought, well, while I had them all in my possession, that I would do a bit of a review. So if you're thinking of buying one, or upgrading, or whatever, borrow one from a friend, then you will have basically a bit of information to go on. So, quite simply, I've lined them up here in order of price, cheapest to most expensive. The cheapest being basically the standard welding helmet. I think if you asked a 5-year-old to draw a welding helmet, assuming that they knew about welding, they come up with something like this. Basically, the construction reflects its, or the price is, it reflects in its construction. Very cheap. Basically a plastic shield which shields you from the UV rays and spatter, and in complete contrast to the other ones that I have here, this has the more traditional style darkened shield glass. So as you can see, you can basically see nothing through that glass until you strike the arc, and then you can pretty much only see where the parent metal is being illuminated by the arc and nothing else. Very dark, except exactly where the arc is struck. That's a reasonable kind of headband, I guess. When you're talking about, I think these are about 15 euros for the plastic, and about another 3 or 4, I think, for the actual glass. Comes with a protective clear glass and the darkened glass, and they just clip into place. Look, it'll do the trick. It'll, if you're only using a stick welder to do a bit of work around the house or around the farm or whatever, and you're using it once or twice a year, then yeah, it'll get you out of a hole. But in relation to the quality of your weld, generally speaking, unless you're very good, it will show. But again, does the job, very cheap, almost disposable at that price these days, 15 euros or so. The next level up, which in my opinion is basically should be considered the starter helmet for anybody, is the kind of entry level auto darkening helmet. Now this guy, I have about 3 years or so, 4 years. Cost me 50 something euros. I think there was a recent thread on the Air-Cooled website where someone had even found one on there for in the 40s, I think 45 euros or so. So really, for the extra few quid, why would you bother with that guy? These guys come free with most welding kits, and again, just covered, do the trick. But this is really where you want to be looking at if you're actually purchasing a standalone helmet. Go straight for the auto darken. Really, price is not a consideration anymore. About 8, 9, 10 years ago, this would have cost you several hundred euros. In fact, I saw one recently that a guy was using. It was an Esab. It's basically exactly this helmet. It was about 8 years old, and it cost him nearly 400 euros, he told me. So, like everything else, with the advent of better technology, things get cheaper and cheaper. The main advantage to these kind of helmets, apart from the overall shape, I find that you do benefit from better headgear. It's got a better ratcheting system here, which allows you to increase or decrease the size of the headband depending on the size of your head. There's also a kind of a adjusting strap here, which allows you to adjust where your head sits inside the helmet, whether you want it low or high. Basically, the higher the better, because it stops light coming in when you're tilted, when your head is tilted downwards. Light from the workshop can pass in here and reflect off the inside of the helmet and make it hard for you to see. So again, I would adjust this. It's all down to personal taste, but adjust this so your head is quite high, but also quite far forward in the helmet. So you want the helmet sensor, the front of the helmet, kind of quite close to your face, so your head should actually be really quite far forward in the helmet itself. Now, the difference, the other main difference, of course, is the auto darkening feature. You can see this one has got a kind of it's got a electronic module inside, which remains clear, or basically like a pair of sunglasses. It's not completely clear, like see-through clear glass, but it's like a pair of sunglasses until you strike an arc, and then the arc activates the module inside, and it basically instantly darkens. So I think it's within, I think the range of this one is 1/25,000th of a second. Well, basically quicker than you can blink. So definitely reacts instantly, pretty much, unless you're really measuring down to very fine figures. There are two settings on this welding mask. I don't know if you can see, there's two little knobs here. This guy is the sensitivity, so really that allows you to adjust, and basically you'll get this sensitivity adjustment on every auto darkening mask. It allows you to adjust for ambient light. So for example, if you're working outside perhaps on a sunny day, that occasional sunny day that we get, just going to adjust the volume on this thing, I think it's got a bit funny. Okay, the occasional sunny day we get, you don't want your helmet darkening every time you look up from a workpiece and you catch a bit of sunlight, it'll be instantly darkening. Or in fact, if you look around your workshop or look away from what you're doing, you don't want it tripping all the time, going dark. So that allows you, sensitivity basically allows you to adjust for ambient light. There is also on pretty much every auto darkening helmet a delay switch, this one, and that basically allows you to set the time after you stop welding, the time it takes for it to clear again and go back to its kind of normal setting. So that's basically that. The third setting that's available on, as I say, even the cheapest ones, is the DIN setting, the actual setting of the darkness that the shield turns to when you're on arc, when you're actually welding. You see this one goes from 9 all the way, yes, past 11. There's 11, so this one goes past 11 all the way to 13. For most MIG applications, I normally find around the 10 perfectly adequate, but bit of preference, bit of personal preference on that one too. Some people like them dark, some people like it light, but there's your adjustment. It's handy to have on the outside. You can actually adjust this with your gloves on without taking the helmet off, so a little bit more freedom there to adjust that without having to take it all off, etc. Not a bad helmet, definitely worth the money. This module comes with two sensors, and we can quite see them there. I'll just whip out the little anti-spatter pane, if I can get a grip on it here. Typical. Okay, let's use this boy. Finger on there. Okay, that's just a little clear plastic protective lens that goes over the main sensor. So basically, you can see here there are two panes. This top one here is a solar powered thing, just like the old calculators used to have a solar powered panel on them. This doesn't take batteries, this unit works on solar power. The two little dots you can see underneath here and here are the two sensors. This is a two sensor unit, and the area below is the area that you look through and the bit that actually reacts when the arc is struck when you're welding, and this bit goes dark. Yeah, good helmet, definitely worth the money. Alright, basically on to the next one. I purchased this helmet because I found that when I was welding something quite detailed, or in fact when I was welding an exhaust on a car, a bit of spatter flew off the exhaust and went into my ear, and the resulting sound and in fact smell wasn't really pleasant at all. So when I found that when I was wearing this helmet, the adjustment doesn't let you move the helmet back on your head that much. So as you can see, your ear is quite exposed beyond the extremities of the helmet. So I did a bit of looking around, tried on a few different ones, and found that the fit of this helmet was much better. It is about twice the price of the entry-level helmet, but you do get you get basically what you paid for. The actual electronics unit, the auto darkening unit inside, to all intents and purposes looks quite similar to me. It's got the same sensitivity and delay settings. It's got the same size viewing panel, and this one's also solar powered. So very similar, but I'll try and take some photographs later on as to show you the view that you get through. This one is definitely about 15-20% clearer through the viewing panel of ARC than the cheaper version. You also get a better and more robust and more comfortable headband. The adjustment ratcheting kind of knob here on the back is much easier to turn when you have gloves on. So again, it saves you flicking off your gloves and having to mess around with that. You can do that with your gloves on. And it's definitely a better fit, about 15-20% better. It's got this nice kind of, God, I don't know what you call that, wobbly bit for this. Let's get technical. This little wobbly bit at the back here, which basically fits the contour of your head. You can see that kind of will move, so it gives a better fit, more snug fit. Although I haven't used this one a lot, but I've used it once or twice. The one thing I did really like about this helmet is that it fits a lot better, in my opinion. Your head is a lot further forward in the helmet. Therefore you get more protection. You can see my ear is completely covered. The other one basically sat on my head a bit further forward, so you don't get the protection for your ear. It kind of stops here on your head, as opposed to this one really comes back further. It also extends further down the front, so when you're doing some really detailed stuff, you don't get flash from the arc coming up under the shield, reflecting into your eyes and making it a lot harder to see. Even when your workshop lights are reflecting inside the helmet, that can be really distracting. Well, I personally find it really distracting, but I'm particular like that, I guess. So a lot better fit, much better headgear, better plastic, just feels better than the cheaper helmet, although this has stood the test of time. Nice paint and decals, looks snazzy. Got effectively the same din control knob here on the side. Again, 6 to 13. So this one does go a lighter shade than the cheaper version. The cheaper version starts at 9, so DIN 9 to 13. So this will go lighter. So you could actually use this for oxyacetylene welding, where really, to all intents and purposes, all you need for that is a really good pair of sunglasses, or a pair of the old style green goggles, the ones that flip up. They're perfectly adequate. It's not very bright. Again, twice the price, good, better, definitely better quality plastic. The whole thing is just made a little bit better. But the unit itself, while it appears to be similar in many respects, it's got two sensors. It's just definitely a better unit altogether, and it's much clearer on and off arc. Now, up to the holy grail. I purchased this recently because this helmet was letting me down at very low amps while doing TIG work. And I mean, I'm talking 5-10 amps when you're backing off. I'm on a course at the moment, we're practicing welding some really thin stuff, and this won't auto darken at very low amps when you're TIGging. It will, all of these will work when you're using arc welding, stick welding or MIG, not a problem whatsoever. They'll darken, no hassle, because you're always at 30, 40, 50, even car body stuff where you're light, you're at kind of 30 amps, 40 amps anyway, so they'll definitely work with that. But when you're doing really fine stuff on thin metal with TIG, you're way down the amps, and these don't. react to that fine detail. So therefore I hunted down the Miller distributor. I'd seen these on the internet and on programs like Orange County Choppers and things like that. Thought they looked pretty cool. So figured I'd treat myself to one this year. And as you can see, it looks snazzy. This is the Lucky Speed Shop limited edition. Got some nice decals, basically just stickers on there. But it's a nicely finished helmet. Now, what I would say is the first thing you notice about this helmet over any of the others is its shape. It's certainly quite a bit longer than the other helmet. It's bigger, you can quite see that there. It's a lot larger, a lot longer than the standard helmet. Not a huge amount bigger than the Origo, to be honest, but I'd already said that the shape of the Origo was much better than the shape of the cheaper helmet. So this is carrying the same kind of format. The construction of it is very light, but it feels strong, you know. It's a good quality plastic, quite flexible, but very light. I'd say it's a couple of ounces lighter than this guy even, and definitely way lighter than this. What you can see also from the fit is that it's got quite a nice curved and flattened apron or bib here, area here right on the front of it, which is great for sealing down along your chest when you're doing fine teeth work. So it stops that flash when you strike the arc up under your helmet, which makes it really difficult to see. Another instant difference in this one is the quality of the headgear. I don't know, it's quite hard to see there, but it's not necessarily thicker plastic, but it's definitely better quality. You know, I could see this lasting for many years before it cracks. There's nicer adjustments on it inside here. I don't know if you can see. There's a kind of a cam system here that you can set up to allow you to, you know, have the helmet sitting more like this on your head or more further down, depending on the kind of work you're doing. You don't want to be using your neck to bend to get the right view. You want the helmet doing that, so when you flick it down, it's actually coming down into the right position, down in front of your eyes, down facing down the work you're doing, so you're not having to basically bend your neck all the time, because, you know, if you're welding 3, 4, 5 hours on the trot, that's going to cause you problems. The other instant difference between this helmet and any of the cheaper versions, I'll just show you the Origo here with it, so you get kind of a comparison. You can see that the viewing screen or the sensor area is significantly larger in Miller. They say 30%, but that looks almost like double what the Esab Origo helmet has. So therefore your view is just a lot better anyway, on and off arc. The sensor arrangement in this helmet, you can't pull the front off this quite so easy, so I'll try and get a shot here. You can see these little holes basically are the sensors, and on this helmet there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one on each corner of the sensor. Oh, there we go, there's a decent shot, right? 4 sensors. So what that does is, you know, if you're welding a space frame for a car or kit car or something like that, and you're leaning in underneath a bar, and your arc isn't really straight in front of your face, it might be off up to the side somewhere, this side sensor will pick it up better and it'll darken better. But it also allows the helmet to darken more at the point of arc, because it can sense exactly where the arc is and it darkens more in that area, so you just get a better view overall. The module itself obviously is a lot bigger because the viewing plane is a lot bigger. It's also got some more adjustments on it. Basically, you have the duplication of the sensitivity over here and the delay. That's basically on all the helmets. The shade adjustment in this helmet is on the inside, as opposed to the bigger knob on the outside of the other helmets, the cheaper helmets. Not that that really makes any difference, it just makes it a little smoother on the outside, I guess. In reality, this helmet will be more difficult to adjust. You know, this is a gloves off job. Take the helmet off, adjust your sensitivity, and then, you know, put the helmet back on, etc. But you do benefit from a grind feature on this helmet. You can turn this sensitivity thing right around to grind, which means you'll be able to grind away, and the helmet will not react to the sparks coming off your grinder. There's another neat little feature in this which I really quite like and might avail of. I wonder if you can see these two rails up either side of the viewing pane. These things, basically, they're little runners, and you can buy what the Americans call a cheater lens from Miller. It's basically a prescription insert that you can slide in there. So if you wear glasses, you'll know that if you put on a helmet and you have your glasses on, and maybe even a dust mask, that your glasses are always fogging up, and it can be a real pain. You're having to take off your helmet constantly and blow it and clear it. So with that prescription insert, you do away with it. You don't need to wear your own glasses, so it helps with that fogging up issue. That's about it really in relation to differences. So there we are, 4 helmets, cheap and cheerful, but I wouldn't bother with it really personally. Absolutely the best thing you're going to buy. If you've been used to using one of these, the minute you buy one of these basic auto darkening helmets, your welding will improve 50%, no two ways about it. Being able to line it up, not guessing where your hands are in relation to the weld, definitely the way to go. A little bit better quality, better headgear is the Esab, double the price of this guy. This one, really, you want to have a job line, you want to have some work lined up really to justify the cost of that, because to be honest, you could buy the other 3 twice. However, it is really good. So, hope that information proves useful to everybody, and any other questions, you can post it online and I'll do my best to answer them. So, thanks very much.